Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about calls for scores. That's something that I have a good amount of experience with, having written the calls for 365 and 52 weeks, and also having gotten feedback from composers, seeing other calls, and just seeing the results of my own. I've come up with some things that you really should keep in mind when you're running a call. The first thing is specificity. The call needs to be detailed and specific. And not only that, it needs to break down everything you expect from the submissions. Instrumentation. If you're running a call for an ensemble, do you want only works for the full ensemble, or subsets okay? As honestly, if you don't specify that, you're going to get both. And if you didn't want one of them, then you can't really reject them because you didn't say it. And people are going to get unhappy if you do reject all of the subsets just because you didn't want them, but you just didn't bother to say it, and you thought that was assumed. Maximum time limits, definitely important. One, because then you're actually getting pieces that you can viably do for whatever project they're for, and two, so composers know not to submit their 20-minute sonata that is never gonna get picked. I think minimums are up to you, whether you want to include that or not, but if you're not interested in 1 minute long works, then you do have to say that because you will get some. Anything that you need to be in the piece as well, or need to be in the submission, needs to be stated in the call. So if you need the composer to submit a bio, or a recording, or 5,000 programs of this piece having been played, which please don't do that, but anything that you're requiring, you need to state in the call as clearly as possible, and not hidden in some paragraph, but like broken down into bullet points. If you read the 52 weeks call, I repeat myself about 5 times, but I also break it down in the requirements section exactly what I'm expecting. So yes, it does say a lot of the things that I'm expecting in the paragraphs before it, but when you really get down to the requirements, it says it as clearly as you can. And that's one of the things that I discovered through the 365, is that if you don't say it, some people are going to assume wrong. Also, providing an easy way and a unified way for people to submit their works is definitely the best. A good friend of mine suggested using Google Forms for the 52 weeks call, and I can't thank him enough because it's so much easier. Even if you just have like a form that they need to fill out and then they email you the part, that works too. But honestly, I think creating some kind of online submission form so that you aren't dealing with 80 emails that may or may not get lost, it's really, really helpful. As that also, you want to be able to give feedback to the composers, whether it's, sorry, I can't do your piece, or yes, I want to do your piece. You need to be able to find the submission to do that. And one of the things that I discovered with the 365 is that I did lose a few submissions just because they got lost in my email. And I feel terrible about that. And once I found them, I did send emails to the composer saying, I'm really sorry. This happened. I would love to see you submit to this next project. Again, really sorry. But that's totally on me, and that's me looking super unprofessional. And that's not what you want, as honestly these calls are a reflection on you as an ensemble or as a musician, along with being a chance to get access to a lot of pieces. You are also proving yourself to the composers as someone who is interested in contemporary music and someone that is worthwhile working with. So you want to be as professional as possible and as organized as possible, and part of that is keeping track of your submissions. So learn from my experience and create a form that doesn't require you to somehow hope that you check your email and catch all of them, because it doesn't happen. I promise you that. Along with being super specific in the call itself, you really do need a specific project in mind for a call. It doesn't have to be a concrete performance. Like, clearly my projects don't have that, but they still have a guarantee that the pieces that are picked and that are included in the project will be picked and included in the project. And if you don't have that, then that's not a great thing. If you're interested in finding more works for your instrument or even getting new works written, contact the composer directly. Is honestly a call without a project or a performance in mind isn't really the point. Because then you're asking composers to send off their work and potentially money to you for you to maybe just ignore it completely. And again, that comes back to professionalism and the fact that this call reflects on you. The last thing is that it's still your project and your call, and in the grand scheme of things, it's up to you what you do with the pieces that are submitted. Obviously, you need to actually do what you say you're going to do in the call, but if you end up choosing only one piece because you said you were only going to choose one piece, that's not a bad thing. You lived up to your word, and it's your project, and you can't let other people claim that it's a bad thing. And I do think that calls that pick multiple scores are more effective, but if it's your choice to do that, then that's a completely valid choice, and as long as you said it explicitly in the call, no one can have a problem with it. And if they do, that's their problem. And that goes along the same lines of, if you have a piece that doesn't fit the submission guidelines that you set out in the call, you're 100% within your rights to throw it out with no explanation. You don't owe it to them to explain to them that they did something wrong and have them fix it. No, they didn't read the rules. They don't get considered. It's harsh, but honestly, it's how you have to function. And it might feel uncomfortable and you might feel bad about it, and that's probably a good thing because you're like a decent human. But if you were as clear as physically possible in your call and something doesn't meet the rules that you set out in that call, then it's on the composer. It's not on you. It's a different story if they don't meet a requirement that you thought of in your head but didn't write down. Then it's on you to be a decent person and still consider them. But if they didn't follow the rules, then they didn't follow the rules. So yeah, I really encourage all of you who are interested in running calls to do so. It's a really great experience, and it's a little overwhelming sometimes, but it really does help you broaden your horizons and realize that there's so much more music in the world than you thought there was, and discover new composers and new things about yourself and just about music in general. If you guys have any questions or want some help, I am always happy to. And I'm not the end-all be-all resource for calls. Everyone has their own experience and their own opinions. I just have had a couple run pretty smoothly at this point, and I think that it's worthwhile talking about. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe, and if you want to support me more, I do have a Patreon. All of that information is in the description. And if you are interested in submitting to my current call, 52 Weeks for Flute, all of that information will be in the description as well, and the announcement video is linked in the cards. That submission deadline is April 15th, 2018 at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I will see you guys very soon.